Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable, and this is my first run review of the Asics Megablast, this max cushion Goliath of a shoe from Asics. So in this review, I've got some run footage of me running with these on, and also I go through an in-depth review of what it was like in my first run in these shoes. Did about 15k, so I've got some idea now what it feels like to run in these shoes, and at the end of this video I'll give you an idea of whether you should buy this shoe. Bear in mind it's a whopping £210, so it has to be something really good about this shoe to make you invest that kind of money in it. So stand by for the full review, and I'll see you soon. Love you all. Bye bye. Right. So they're feeling pretty good, to be fair, the Asics Megablast. I like them, I have to say. After about 15k or so, a couple of runs, one shorter one around 5k and one a bit longer, I'm liking them. They've got a really nice feel to them. They're firm, but I'm getting nice energy return from them. They're not too, I mean, you get this kind of flattish feel, but you've got this nice rocker as well that kind of rolls you forward, so they feel quite easy to run in. Got a huge base, so very stable. I can splay my toes, but the base is a lot wider than the actual upper, so you've got this huge sole flare which adds to the stability of this shoe. It feels nice and light, very bouncy and responsive. Reminds me a lot of the original Superblast, but with a bit more of a pronounced rocker. Maybe the foam's slightly better as well. It just feels like an upgrade on the Superblast, to be honest. But if you like that kind of firm feeling, a bit of a hollowish feeling to the foam, you're going to like this shoe. Despite it being absolutely massive, hence the word mega, and I can't believe some reviewers have been complaining about the size of this shoe when no shit, I mean, it's called Megablast. What did you expect? You weren't going to get an nimble shoe, and it's not a nimble shoe, but it's not terrible either. I mean, if you compare it to something like the Skyward X, which I really like, it feels nimble compared to that shoe, right? It's got a huge stack on it. It's got to be way over 40 millimeters in the heel. I would imagine an 8mm drop, something like that, feels like it. So, I mean, yeah, you're still getting sort of, I'm guessing 34 to 36 millimeters in the forefoot, which is ample. So for me, I'm landing on the forefoot, feels great, nice and cushioned. The other thing to mention is how stable the shoe is. I mean, like I said, I'm able to splay my toes, and I've got a huge base to land on. It just feels like, you know, I'd have to test the grip on wet weather, but it feels like this shoe could handle a bit of off-road, some trails maybe, some non-technical trails, and be fine. Although I've got the colour white, so that might not be fine. But I feel like those who want a stable shoe are basically, and want a light shoe and quite a nice shoe to pick up the pace in, this could be a good option. The other thing to note is I've done most of this run at quite a gentle pace, around 5:30 for me anyway, for 5:30 km. and it's felt fine. So that's another difference with the Super Blast. I remember when I was running slow in that shoe, it felt a bit harsh. It's when I picked up the pace, it felt much better. Well, this I think is foam's a little bit more forgiving, a little bit less hollow, and it's a little bit less slappy. A shoe in general, there's a bit more of a roll through, as I said, which all in all means that it's a kind of nicer shoe and more versatile shoe. You can run slow in this shoe and it feels absolutely fine, and then you can pick up the pace and you just roll through your stride, roll through your foot strike, and it feels fine. It's light enough that when you pick up the pace, it doesn't seem to be penalising you. The upper is fine, nice and light. I had to do runner's knot actually to keep my foot nice and locked in. Without that, I felt like it was slipping a little bit. So maybe not perfect, but pretty good. And all in all, first run, I know you can't tell everything from a first run, but I'm absolutely liking this shoe, and I'm glad because I paid near £200 for it. It's an expensive shoe, guys, and this one pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of use out of, which is good because I've still got the Super Blast 1 and I'm still getting use out of that. So at some point that'll be retired and this will be right ready to take over, and this could easily get me off the Adidas Evo Outsole and the Neo Vista 2, and some of those runs into work where I've got my big backpack on, so I need something really cushioned. This could be really nice for that, I think. So all in all, very positive first run in the Asics Megablast. It's my 4th Asics shoe of the month, and that's got to be the last. I don't think I'll be getting the Sonic somehow. This one, it was this or that, and I think this is one out, just simply because I like max cushion shoes, and I'm a fan of, you know, when I'm marathon training, having as much cushion and support as I can. And you know, with my background of injuries, you know, breaking legs and backs and all that kind of stuff, it's, for me, it's very important to have that cushioning, to have that stability, but also to have like a forgiving ride. If you remember, my first ever marathon shoe was the Nike Invincible 2, one actually, but it wasn't the most stable shoe, but boy did it give me a lot of cushion and protection. So there we are. Stand by for the in-house full review of the Asics Megablast, and for now I'm really liking this shoe, but it is a first review, guys, so things could change, but it's normally a good sign when the first review goes well. Anyway, I'll see you later. Love you all. Bye bye. Let's go through some key stats in the Asics Megablast. Okay, so it's 250 grams in my UK size 9.5. I went up half a size, probably needed to. Although it looks like a huge shoe, actually when you put your foot in, the volume is not massive, and it felt a bit snug even at half a size up. So for me, with my fat feet, my wide foot, I needed to go up half a size. For those with narrow feet, you'll be fine, I think, true to size. Lengthwise, it seems okay. It was just the snugness around the area where my toes are that I was worried about. It's 250 grams, so it's comparable to other shoes in the range. So if we look at the original Super Blast, albeit a size 9, this is around 236 grams. So it's heavier than the original Super Blast. It's lighter though than the Neo Vista 2, which in my UK size 9 is 280 grams. So it's considerably lighter than the Neo Vista 2. It's not as light though as the Evo Outsole, which is considerably, look, if you can look at the two, looks considerably smaller, more nimble. And this comes in around 236 grams. So it's somewhere in between, but it feels like a light shoe on your foot. It feels lovely and light.
And if weight is a consideration for you, don't worry about this shoe. It's perfectly fine for a max cushion daily trainer. The stack height of this shoe, so we've got 45 millimeters in the heel, so it's massive in the heel, 37 in the forefoot, so you've got a big slab of foam in the forefoot where I like to land. So all in all, 8 millimeter drops. If you don't mind that quite big drop, this will work well for you. It feels like an 8 millimeter drop as well. So with the upper, you've got this mesh light upper. Like I said, it's not the widest around the forefoot area. It looks wide, but what you're actually seeing is this sole flare here, and that's going to be good for stability, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But the actual upper itself, actually, I feel like it wraps nice around my foot without there being loads of volume, loads of space. You've got these amazing ridge laces, which I think are one of my favorites. You've got a decent tongue, which you didn't have in the Meta Speeds, that flimsy tongue you just about see there. This is a lot more padded, and you can cinch those laces nice and tight over your foot without any lace bite. You've got some nice padding in the collar and also in the heel counter. If you have a look at it there, you've got a decent amount of padding. And you've got quite a rigid heel counter. So if you don't like that, if you have problems with rigid heel counters on your heel, on your Achilles, you might have some issues with this. It's got a tiny bit of rub, but actually when I started running, it felt fine. I did do a runner's knot in this shoe to get maximum lockdown. I felt a tiny little bit of slippage without it, but with it, it was perfectly fine. And you've got quite a lot of structure here. All in all, a really nice upper. I would probably rate this upper probably 4.5 out of 5. Maybe I'll mark it down slightly because I got a little bit, like I said, of that heel rub, and I did have to use the runner's knot because I got a tiny bit of slippage, heel slippage. But apart from that, I think it was really good, really nice and lightweight, accommodating for my foot, my wide foot. So all in all, good upper. Outsole now. So as you can see, huge base to land on, and you've got the key areas covered with this grip here. It's quite a deep tread actually, and you've got the key areas, the forefoot and obviously the heel and midfoot area. You've got some exposed foam here, and it's quite a big area actually of exposed foam, but you're going to land in these areas. So I guess the theory is it doesn't really matter, you save a bit of weight having the exposed foam there. Like I said, the tread is deeper than say the original Superblast, although this is worn down a bit. It's definitely a deeper tread. It's comparable to the Neo Vista 2, and I think all in all, maybe not quite as good as the Evo SL, but this Continental rubber is really good, really grippy. But all in all, a pretty decent outsole. And although I haven't used this in wet weather yet, I think for me, I got enough grip going down hills for me to think that this will be pretty good and decently durable as well. So that's the outsole. Probably give that about 4.5 out of 5. Not quite top tier, not quite Continental rubber or like traction like Adidas have got, but it's that kind of tier 2, and I think this will grip very well and be absolutely fine for most surfaces. Maybe just the slippiest of surfaces, you might have to watch it in this shoe. That's the outsole. The midsole now, so you've got this FF Turbo Plus squared, which is not the same as the FF Turbo is in the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo and Edge Tokyo. It's a different compound, it's aliphatic TPU as opposed to PIBA. In this shoe, you can tell it feels different to the foam that was in the Superblast. It feels a bit more bouncy, there feels a bit more energy return. You've also got this more pronounced rocker, this more aggressive rocker. Let's show you both shoes together so you get an idea. You can see that whilst this has got a decent rocker, this one has got more aggressive rocker that really curves more up at the end. So with this shoe, when you engage this nice foam, you really do roll nicely through. It's very smooth, very rolling. It's a bit of a cruiser. It's a tank of a shoe, right? But you do get decent energy return from this shoe. I've seen 1 or 2 reviews that have complained about the size of this shoe. Yes, it's big. I mean, it's like, if you use the Superblast, it's big like the Superblast, right? It's probably even bigger. But I think to complain about it seems a bit mad to me. I mean, the thing's called Megablast. What do you expect? It's, you know, categorization is a max cushion shoe. And it's called Megablast. You're going to have to expect it's going to be big, right? It's like a big pair of flippers on your feet. And if you don't like that, if you much prefer more nimble shoes, like something like the Outsole, then you're not going to like this so much. I think, though, for me, I can see this midsole being a real winner when I come to do those 20-mile runs as part of my marathon training, where I want something really cushioned, something with a big platform to land on so I don't have to worry about that side of things. Something with a decent rocker to keep me rolling along without expending too much energy. Something reasonably firm, and this is a firmish foam. So I think it's comparable with the Outsole, but I think it's a lot firmer than the Neo Vista 2. So if you're someone who absolutely loves soft foams, then this might feel a bit firm for you. If you like the Outsole, though, I think it's a similar sort of foam to that. It's less dense than the Light Strike in here, so it feels a little bit more hollowy. That's some of the similarities with the original Superblast. I always found this felt a little bit hollowy and a little bit firm. This is the same, but with this shoe, because of that more pronounced rocker, more aggressive rocker, and because this aliphatic TPU, you just tend to get a little bit more energy return. Even though it is firm, it doesn't feel too harsh on my feet. And actually the firmness gives it that nice ping when you land that keeps you rolling forward without your foot sinking in and you know, getting you that foot fatigue that you can get in some softer shoes. So sometimes in the Neo Vista 2, when I'm tired and my legs are tired, I feel like this is sapping my energy a little bit. This kind of shoe with the Megablast, you're not going to get any of that. It's going to feel you pinging you and rolling you along, and it's not going to be at all energy zapping. So all in all, great midsole. First impressions are really impressed by what they've done here, Asics, and I'd give this a 5 out of 5. It's going to be up there with the original Superblast. It's very reminiscent, different foam, more energy return, more pronounced rocker, but there is some similarities with that hollowish kind of feel, but also that nice kind of energy return and that smooth landing and smooth rolling forward you get with this shoe. I think this shoe is something you put on, you know it's going to protect you throughout those, you know, long mileage runs, like the, you know, 16 to 20 mile runs. And at the end of it, the next day, your legs aren't going to feel particularly beaten up because you've had all this cushion and protection, and the run itself will feel easier because of how smooth it is to run in this shoe. Let's talk about stability now, because that's a key feature of this shoe. So just like with the Superblast, this is a very stable shoe. Again, you've got this huge base, decent grip, so it's grippier than the Superblast original, which was one of its failings. This is better. You've got this really hard bit of reinforced material here that keeps your foot nice and locked in, gives you that kind of center path technology. It stops you doing this and keeps you like nice and focused and centered when you run. Because you've got this huge landing base, you literally don't have to worry about any kind of movement from left to right. You've got this huge sole flare here, which means that, again, your foot feels like it's on top of a really wide platform. And it's one of the most stable shoes that I've run in for quite some time. So those of you that have stability needs, I think this is going to be a really good bet for you. Even despite the huge platform, it feels remarkably stable. It feels remarkably comfortable, and you really don't get that crazy bounce from this shoe. You get a nice energy return, but you don't get that irregular bounce that you can get from some other shoes. You get more of that from the Neo Vista 2. than you do with the Megablast. So 5 out of 5 for stability. Durability, just like the Super Blast, I think this is going to be a very durable shoe. Obviously I haven't run in it enough to know that, but my hunch is it's going to be very durable. If I had to score it now, I'd give it 5 out of 5 because I think it is going to be like the Super Blast. And like I said, this is at 700 miles and it's still going strong. And Asics really nail it in that respect. They know what they're doing in terms of building a max cushion daily trainer that's going to last you for all those long marathon training runs or those long mileage runs that you're doing to keep yourself fit. So durability, 5 out of 5. Speed, I think with this pronounced rocker, you're going to be able to go fast in this shoe. No problem. It's not something you're going to take down the track, I wouldn't have thought. It's not something you want to do your interval training on. It's not going to be as nippy and as quick as the Outsole. It's going to be quicker though, I think, than the Neo Vista 2. With this shoe, you kind of sink into it a little bit more. This is more for your easier runs. This one, you could definitely take this at marathon pace or a bit quicker, and it's going to keep you rolling along. And like I said, it's the geometry and this kind of nice foam, this aliphatic TPU with that energy return means that you can up the pace in this and it feels absolutely fine. So again, we're looking at this shoe and I'm looking at the price, which we'll talk about in a minute. But bear in mind that this is a very versatile shoe that you can do lots of different runs in. You could do your easy runs, your slow runs in this shoe. And although it's a little bit firm, it will be fine for those. But you can really go a lot more up tempo and do your marathon pace a bit quicker than marathon pace. And it's absolutely fine in this shoe. If you, at a push, you could race in this shoe. I just feel it's a little bit bulky for that. It's a bit too much shoe. Maybe you could do half marathon in it. Those of you are bigger than me, I'm 5'9", 63, 64 kg. Wouldn't be my choice. I much prefer to pick something like the Sky Tokyo. But for you guys that are bigger, that want something more stable, it's going to get you through the marathon, but you know, in a way that where you can pick up pace where you need to. I think it's not a bad choice actually. In very much the same way, lots of people ended up doing marathons in the Super Blast. It's very similar shoe in that respect. So that's pace. Value for money now. Here's my issue with this shoe. £210. It is a very versatile shoe. So in some ways you could justify buying this shoe and it could do everything. It could do your slow runs, it could do your up-tempo runs, your marathon pace runs, and you could actually race in this shoe. But if you compare it to another shoe which is similar in that respect, the Outsole at £135, I mean, come on Asics, you really need to get more competitive with your pricing. The Adidas shoe absolutely is killing you there. Even the Neo Vista, which is maybe not quite as versatile, particularly for the up-tempo, quicker stuff, but still £160. It's absolutely killing it in terms of value for money. So in terms of value for money alone, I cannot recommend this to be a worthwhile purchase. What I would say though is if you are willing to pay that amount, the £210, you are getting a very versatile shoe that can do it all, and it's a very nice shoe to run in. And if you're a fan of the Super Blast, this is not something, this might be a shoe that you just say, right, I'm going to prepare to pay the money, prepare to lose the dosh, because I want something that's a premium cruising super max cushioning absolute Goliath of a shoe that's going to get me through that marathon training. So although I'm going to score it down at 2.5, maybe 3 out of 5 for value for money, I can see a reason why some people might cough up the money to buy this shoe. And if you do, you're going to have a really good, brilliant training shoe on your hands here. That's something that's going to be great for those long miles, something that's really nice to run in, and something with great energy return and a really nice geometry to keep you flowing when you run. Let's talk about what it's good for. Very versatile shoe. I think all in all, you could use this for your slow runs, your easy runs, your more up-tempo runs, your marathon pace runs, and quicker. You could even race in this shoe. I think for you heavier runners, where you compress this foam more than I do, you'll get even more energy return back from it. I think it is a viable option for marathons, maybe half marathons. Not for me. I think it's quick enough to be able to do those kind of runs in. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of the original Superblast. And this shoe, I've run a 20-mile race in and it performed really well. So I think this will be something similar. So don't rule this out as a race day shoe for those longer distances. But all in all, I would use this predominantly for your long runs, your marathon training, those runs where you want to go at marathon pace. It's less good maybe at the slower stuff than say something like the Neo Vista 2. And it's maybe not quite as quick as the Outsole for those quicker stuff, but all in all, across the spectrum of those kind of runs, you can't get much better than this shoe. And then my final thoughts on this shoe. So again, Asics have nailed it. They've produced a wonderful shoe, a wonderful max cushion shoe that is very versatile, that you can do a number of different types of runs in. I really like it. I like the look and feel of it. I like how lightweight it is. I love the geometry of the shoe. I love the aliphatic TPU, this FF Turbo squared foam. I think it's an absolute winner. I love everything about this shoe. The upper, the grip is much improved. The only thing I don't like is the price. If it was down at about 180, I would highly recommend this shoe. But as it is, there is reasonable competition out here in these two in particular for me to say that I would say it's not quite as good a purchase as the Outsole. And if you're not somebody who wants to race in this shoe, you've got your race option in your super shoe, you might even look at the Neo Vista as an alternative, which is far cheaper. Neo Vista 2, which is far cheaper. But like I said, if you're a fan of the Superblast and you want to pick up the next evolution of that, you can't go too far wrong with this. And that's all I'll say in this first run review. Remember folks, it's a first run review. This might get even better and better for me, or I might fall out of love with it. Who knows? First run reviews are just my first impressions. But my first impressions of this is it's a bloody good shoe, if not bloody expensive. And that's all I'll say. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the like and hit the bell. Is it bell? Yeah, hit the bell. And please, any comments, any questions on this shoe, just add them in and I'll do my best, as you know, to respond to all your comments. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.